There were sailors on ships. There were GIs on the ground in artillery battalions. There were German soldiers on the other side of the line. People from all sides of the war were involved and reported the same thing.
Foo Fighters is the name given to the general body of spherical, circular, disc-like, or wedged-shaped bogies, sometimes seeming to glow, shine, or reflect a high degree of illumination seen mostly by World War II pilots or flight crews. They usually paralleled or followed aircraft and were seen by aviators on all sides of the action, being reported by American, British, German, and Japanese crews. The origins of the term Foo Fighter are uncertain, but it is believed to have come from a popular comic strip of the time called Smokey Stover, in which the character Fooey Stover was known for his wild and reckless behavior. The term was later adopted by pilots and crew members to describe the strange, unexplained lights they were seeing in the sky. Although Royal Air Force personnel had reported seeing lights following their aircraft from as early as March 1942, American sightings were first recorded by crews from the 422nd Night Fighter Squadron stationed in occupied Belgium during the first week of October of 1944. These were incorrectly believed to be Messerschmitt Me 163 rocket-powered interceptors that did not operate at night. The Army Air Command sent officers to investigate, but their research was lost after the war. The bulk of the sightings started occurring in the last week of November 1944, when pilots flying over Western Europe by night reported seeing fast-moving, round-glowing objects following their aircraft. The objects were variously described as fiery and glowing red, white, or orange. Some pilots described them as resembling Christmas tree lights and reported that they seemed to toy with the aircraft, making wild turns before simply vanishing. Pilots and aircrew reported that the objects flew together in formation with their aircraft and behaved as if they were under intelligent control but never displayed hostile behavior. However, they could not be outmaneuvered or shot down. The phenomenon was so widespread that the lights earned a name. In the European theater of operations, they were often called Kraut Fireballs, but for the most part called Foo Fighters. Some speculated that the Foo Fighters were some sort of advanced enemy technology, possibly used for reconnaissance or as a form of psychological warfare. Others believed they were some sort of natural phenomenon, such as ball lightning. Despite the many theories, the true nature of the Foo Fighters remains a mystery to this day. Foo Fighters were reported on many occasions from around the world. Examples include sighting from September 1941 in the Indian Ocean, was similar to some later Foo Fighter reports. From the deck of the SS Puławski, a Polish merchant vessel transporting British troops, 2 sailors reported a strange globe glowing with greenish light, about half the size of the full moon as it appears to us. They alerted a British officer who watched the movements of the object with them for over an hour. Pilot Officer Brian Lumsden, a New Zealander flying with No. 3 Squadron's night flight, encountered 2 amber or orange-colored lights that followed him on an intruder mission over northern France in December 1942. One light was higher than the other, which appeared to rule out wingtip navigation lights from an aircraft. The lights pursued him until he reached the English Channel. Another pilot from his unit experienced a similar phenomenon the following evening with a green light. The story was eventually published in the Christchurch Star Sun newspapers, Gearing for November 1955 edition. 13th October 1944. An RAF crew from No. 178 Squadron based in Italy reported seeing lights following their aircraft over Hungary during a night raid on Székesfehérvár. B-24 Liberator, KH-103, flown by Pilot Officer Taylor, was followed by an intermittent red light for several minutes. The squadron had started reporting numerous similar instances as early as April 1944, and would continue doing so throughout the remainder of 1944 and into 1945. Charles R. Bastian of the U.S. 8th Air Force reported one of the first encounters with UFO fighters over the Belgium-Netherlands area. He described them as two fog lights flying at high rates of speed that could change direction rapidly. During debriefing, his intelligence officer told him that two RAF night fighters had reported the same thing, and it was later reported in British newspapers. Career U.S. Air Force pilot Dwayne Adams often related that he had witnessed two occurrences of a bright light, which paced his aircraft for about half an hour, and then rapidly ascended into the sky. Both incidents occurred at night, both over the South Pacific, and both were witnessed by the entire aircraft crew. The first sighting occurred shortly after the end of World War II, while Adams piloted a B-25 bomber. The second sighting occurred in the early 1960s when Adams was piloting a KC-135 tanker. Senator Ted Stevens described an encounter from the time he was a U.S. Air Force fighter pilot during World War II, as recounted by Senator Harry Reid. "I was flying, and there was an object next to me. I couldn't get rid of it. I slowed up. It was there. I sped up. It was there. I would dive. It would be there. I called. Nothing on radar.